This has to be something else. Stars right there.
The first time I saw Crater Lake, I felt privileged to live in such a beautiful country and see the serenity and the natural beauty that surrounds us.
The first time I saw Crater Lake, my jaw dropped and my heart opened up to the beauty that is nature.
The first time I saw Crater Lake, I just found it magical and really inspiring.
For each of us, there is a moment of discovery. That instant when we see Crater Lake for the very first time.
Crater Lake truly takes your breath away. And we often talk about people sucking air. You know, it truly takes your breath away.
But more than anything else, Crater Lake inspires questions. How deep? Why so clear? What's at the bottom? And the most fundamental question of all, how?
The stars aligned, or the pieces of the puzzle, all came together to make this place exactly what it is. The geology forms this place. The weather forms this place. It's a combination of all kinds of forces coming together to make this unique place.
For all its serenity, Crater Lake is a place born of violence. Atop the tranquil lake was once a 12,000-foot volcano, Mount Mazama.
Mount Mazama would have looked a lot like Mount Hood or Mount Rainier or Mount Shasta. It likely would have been taller than any peak in Oregon today.
For nearly 500,000 years, Mazama had been slowly building, layer upon overlapping layer. Then, 7,700 years ago, the eruptions became increasingly violent. It was just an outward sign of the real action brewing beneath the surface. The huge underground chamber directly below Mount Mazama was being filled beyond capacity with fiery hot magma, gases, and volcanic rock. The matter was heated by the Earth's mantle to more than 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit.
All the action was taking place several miles below the mountain in the magma chamber where the pressure was building up to an intensity that just couldn't be sustained.
Finally, an earth-shaking eruption. The pressure of the overfilled chamber expelled magma, flaming rocks, and hot gases. The debris shot into the sky at nearly twice the speed of sound. Then, the unimaginable.
And a great crack opened up in a circular fashion. Multiple vents encircling the mountain so that ash and pumice were not just coming out of the summit, it was coming around the base of the mountain.
All the life within like 30 miles of the summit was just killed instantly.
So much material came out, the entire magma chamber pretty much drained, that the mountain gave away its foundation.
And the very top of the mountain falls.
It was like a piston that dropped right into the earth.
And then there was a huge crash and boom, and what's left behind is a deep hole, probably 4,000 feet deep. It completely changed the look of the mountain.
It's believed that the big eruption lasted maybe a week, and the collapse of the mountain maybe took only 2 or 3 hours. So it took 500,000 years for Mount Mazama to grow layer by layer, eruption by eruption, to reach 12,000 feet. And then in the matter of a few hours, the mountain was gone.
The eruption and collapse of Mount Mazama happened just 7,700 years ago. In geological terms, it's recent history, but it also touches human history.
Our oral histories are our science. It's what's handed down from mother to daughter, from grandfather to grandson. And we look at it as being the truth.
Members of the Klamath tribes describe Mazama's collapse as a result of an epic battle between the low world spirits and those above.
The reason why this story is so special to us is because this is an eyewitness account of the creation of Crater Lake. It directly puts us there at that time. This is our home. The blood of our peoples in the ground here. It deserves homage because this is a very special place and has been for thousands and thousands of years.
The destruction of Mount Mazama left scars on the landscape still visible 7,700 years later. North of Crater Lake are vast deposits of pumice rock and ash. In some areas, it is up to 300 feet deep. 6 miles to the south, in Sand Creek watershed, are the pinnacles. They formed as hot volcanic gases shot up through the ash flow, melting and fusing the particles together. But the most compelling evidence of the dramatic eruption is at the center of the blast zone. Here, in the shadow of Lau Rock, one is able to peer inside the ancient volcano, Mount Mazama.
It was just a knife blade that cut away the interior of the mountain, leaving the outer shoulders supported, but the interior disappearing into the depths.
We can look inside it and see the plumbing, the internal architecture. You can see these dikes, these pipelines that once transported magma to the surface. And that's the plumbing. Those are the frozen pipes of the volcano.
But it would take another force of nature to transform the once mighty mountain into the tranquil blue lake we see today.
Picture years go by and the snow falls and the snow melts and the snow falls and the snow melts, and over several hundred years this basin fills with water.
This is one of the snowiest inhabited places in America. 44 feet of snow falls here during an average winter. If you average that out, that's 1.5 inches of snow every day of the year.
And so it's these tremendous amounts of snow that fall here in the Pacific Northwest that makes Crater Lake the lake that it is. And now this sort of smoking, desolate, maybe ugly hole in the ground, over a few thousand years gets transformed into a beautiful lake in the basin of this erupted volcano. And if that doesn't speak to the power of nature to transform the landscape, I don't know what does.
As the caldera was filling, the final piece of the Crater Lake puzzle emerged. Wizard Island is a cinder cone that was created as the lake was filling with water. Wizard Island rises 763 feet above Crater Lake, yet it is just the tip of a drowned volcano that rises 2,500 feet above the lake floor. From Mazama's destruction came this gift. 5 trillion gallons of clean, pristine water.
The water at Crater Lake is some of the purest in the entire world. That fact by itself I always find absolutely fascinating. That we can have water here that shows virtually no pollutants, no contaminants in it at all. It's pure water.
The collapse of Mount Mazama created a geological oddity. The trapped water is protected inside the caldera. No streams or rivers flow into Crater Lake. None flow out. The lake level is maintained by a delicate balance of precipitation, evaporation, and seepage through the caldera walls.
The lake has a very small watershed. It consists of the lake